Hi YouTube. Welcome back to the Slammer for the Callisto Protocol with the Therapist, Part 7. I appreciate that you have made it this far into the playthrough. I know I say that every episode, but I really do mean it. Thank you very much for your support and for giving this playthrough a chance. I realize that this is maybe not the most popular game in the world, but the fact that you have decided to give me a chance to Sherpa you through it is very cool, and I have a sense that we're going to have some fun stuff to talk about here in the coming episodes. So, thumbs up, leave a comment, follow the links, subscribe to the channel, all that fun stuff. Let's rock. Block 12. That's a me. Wow, they threw me in the cell, but they didn't take my weapons away. It seems like a little bit of a continuity fail, but whatever. Not as orange in here anymore. There's a thing in there. Am I able to get in here? Interesting. I want to know how to open that. Unless maybe it's... No? Right? You guys see that shiny thing in there, right? Like, that's got to be a recording of some type. Oh, man. God, that noise. Sir Goodsworth, thank you for the Prime sub. Maybe we get to get in there at some point.
I'm opening the way ahead.
Hey, open the cell door next to where I was. Oh, it's gonna bother me so much that I can't get in there. You okay? I'm worried about running into more of those bots. Could have been about due for one of those. I guess I'm lucky that those don't attack my face like they did Danny. See, that's the thing is, like, if I'm Jacob and I see what happened to Danny in the last episode, I'm putting my helmet on. I'm not taking any risk. The best offense is the best defense. Unless I'm somehow immune from this shit. I don't think I have much money, so I'm not going to worry about that. For all staff, droplet precautions in addition to standard precautions. Callisto facility beta. Performance review 4/23/18. So, God, so much detail. Oh! Whoa. Mouse just totally freaked out. Actually spooked me. What we got going on in here? Oh, it's another big boy. Let's go big shotty. Can I sneak up behind? No, I didn't want to hit him. I wanted to shoot him. No, stop. God, these guys are slow. Jeez. Oh, cow, dude. Whoa. Oh, come on. God damn it, dude. This guy's a pain in the dick. Oh, God. Asshole. Ah. Give me that. Panopticon surveillance B330. I guess now I can sell this.
Please make a selection.
I got 2 of these. Burst mode. Assault rifle, stability upgrade. Well, I guess I could fully upgrade the baton. Targeting module upgrade, yeah.
User assumes all liability for use of this crate. Cycle complete.
I don't like that those pustules keep coming back.
What was going on here?
Whoa, so the screen is like an observation. Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, I guess this makes sense. So the prison, I'm guessing the prison was set up less as a prison and more as a lab.
Choice. Every choice in your life has led you here. To this place. This moment. But what choice will you make, Jacob? Will you remain as you are? Or will you choose to become something greater?
Why was I just named there? Also, you really do love messing around with the word choice. I don't think that word means what you think it means. Buddy boy. Yeah, see, okay, so here's our guy. Whoa!
Observation log. Subject 324-980 exhibits an intriguing mix of characteristics, most notably an enhanced will to survive. Recommend extraction and induction into the program.
With extensive research into behavioral disorders, Dr. Ismin can provide valuable insight into how subjects' mental states are affected while Dr. Mahler tracks physiological changes. This is critical for the reactivated research program if we are to replace Subject 0, or replicate Subject 0. Okay, so checking out mental stability as it relates to getting... Boy, you got a lot of moderating variables here. I mean, I don't really know how you could accurately assess a person's mental status when they're held in a prison against their will and are being experimented on without their consent. But, I mean, you could. There are certain markers you could look for. I'm not saying that assessment's impossible, but when I talk about moderating variables, I mean, we're talking about variables that are part of the context that might be affecting this and skewing it in a particular direction. And perhaps that's why you're not as successful at this as you would like to be, because you don't really have a test population here that is fully in a vacuum. Not that you could accomplish that, given the fact that you're, you know, human, but man, the gurgling is brutal. I want to learn how to go in these vents. Oh, I mean, there's ethics violations up the wazoo. You can make an argument there's moral violations in this space. Like, I don't even know that I would even focus entirely on ethics. I mean, this is like a failure on a huge level here, with a lot of people who are justifying it to themselves along the way. Boy. All right. Something tells me we're not going to be seeing very pretty stuff. These guys are not in as advanced of a stage, though, it seems, as the, like, the miners were in more of a... I mean, I guess maybe that means...
This looks older than the rest of the prison.
I mean, my hypothesis, I guess, would be that the miners have been down there dealing with this for a lot longer, and if they were extracting certain people that maybe had more of a potential to be, like, legitimate or whatever, you would bring those to the prison. And so there is a very clear difference, though, between the people who are here and the people who are in the mining colony, though. So it's like, okay, what do we got to do to get to the ideal that we want to get? People in these, like, padded rooms. There's no way that they're consenting to this. I mean, being experimented on without consent is just so egregious. Ouch. Which, by the way, that's why we have such rigorous standards on research with human subjects now. When you're a researcher at, like, a university or whatever, you have an institutional review board, and that institutional review board is tasked with ensuring that when you submit a research proposal prior to doing any of your data collection or anything like that, you are required to submit a whole bunch of paperwork that explains all the ways in which you are ensuring that your test pool is informed in its consent of what it is that's happening. And that institutional review board actually makes decisions about whether something is viable or allowed to proceed based on all sorts of factors that they take into account. And it's really rigorous. Because if you're going to do something that requires people to not exactly know what's happening to them, you have to be ridiculously rigorous with explaining why it is that that's okay and what kind of controls you're putting in place to ensure the quality of life of the people that are going through what they're going through. You can't just start an experiment willy-nilly. You used to be able to do that, and over the years we've learned that you can't. Subjecting humans to research and testing without their consent is utterly egregious. And so there are, yeah, I mean, and there's a million issues with what's going on here, but if, you know, this type of thing, I know that there are probably folks watching this that go, but Dr. Mick, you know this kind of stuff still happens. Yeah, I mean, I'm aware of that. I'm not an idiot. I don't assume that every single person operates in the scope of an institutional review board's review. But if you are in a space where you're doing legitimate research at a university or in various capacities, like at a hospital or something, you are beholden to a code of ethics and to what the review board will and will not allow as it relates to human test subjects. So just know that, like, you couldn't just do this out of nowhere right now unless you were shady as hell, which this place is. I'm going to let you stare at this hallway really quick. I'm going to go tuck my wife into bed really quick, and then I will return, and we will keep navigating this beautiful, lovely facility that I'm sure we all wish that we could see in real life. I'll be right back. Thank you for hanging in there. Also, how terrifying it would be. So, like, you know, here's the thing. Like, there's so many things that are wrong with this, but think of how terrifying it would be. You're in this space... You're being, like, experimented on. You're seeing all sorts of crazy shit that you don't understand, and you have absolutely no control. You're restrained. You have the threat of death. You have people throwing this, like, you have all this crazy medical apparatus. You're probably being injected with stuff, and you are being treated completely as an object, which I went into great detail with last episode about why that matters so much. But, like, I see this whole space, and it just makes my stomach turn because of just thinking about how horrific this would be for the people that were subjected to all of this. How terrifying it would be. That felt good.
Down the stairs. You're getting closer.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle of something right now. Lighting is just so beautiful.
Some bad stuff happened here.
You think? Yeah, Jacob, I would say so, buddy. Real bad stuff happened here. Oh, how does that miss? You know, screw my analysis. Just listen to Jacob's analysis. Some bad stuff happened here. I mean, what do you need me to talk for? I should just let the protagonist do it. I'm sitting here talking about ethics and IRBs and blah blah. At the end of the day, man, some bad stuff happened here, which is kind of, it's just kind of, I say this mostly tongue-in-cheek because I get comments on TikTok and stuff all the time where people go, dude, it's not that serious. It's just a game, bro. Just play the game. And I sometimes want to post TikTok videos where I'm just like, you have this crazy cutscene, and then I go, some bad stuff happened here. As if that would facilitate any kind of engagement. It just always makes me laugh when people comment with that. Hey, do you understand what I do? Obviously not. How about you go from over there to right there? Damn it. Damn it. I was too committed to throwing him against the wall. I didn't react properly. We were like in the morgue. God, the detail is just so phenomenal. I just can't. I just have such an appreciation for environmental detail. It's like when you're playing The Division, you just can't believe how much effort went into the environment, and it makes so much of a difference. Like, I actually think a huge percentage of the reason why I enjoy this game so much is because I just love the environment. I love how detailed it is. It makes, you know, the gameplay is like, it's fine, but like the environmental storytelling here is just, it's so good and so thorough. All right, buddy, come on. I wonder if this is like the Last of Us situation where people are aware, like, are they aware that their monsters are just pain and shit? Hard to know. I don't think we have enough information around that, but we do see that at least in the early stages of it, there's an awareness that it's happening. I mean, and we did have that audio log that we heard when we were in the mining town of that person saying, like, my brain, like, it hurts, make it stop. So I do think that there's probably a degree of, like, physical torture and anguish that these people are experiencing. Just really just... The only thing I suppose that you could hope for is that their consciousness is so far gone that there's not like a sentience around it. You know, it's like, you know, if I'm gonna have to live out my days in just absolute horrific, horrible pain that is just not surmountable in any kind of way, I don't know that I want to be conscious for it. You know? So in some ways, it's almost like if these guys are really husks of themselves and they are not conscious, there's almost like a merciful aspect to that. Because my God, if you were aware in there, like if you essentially have locked-in syndrome while you're in that body with that much pain, that like gives me like goosebumps thinking about how just awful. I knew it. I knew it was coming. Just waiting for one of those grabber guys. Just waiting for it. I am hopeful that there is a reason that we are not getting infected beyond plasma, and that I'm hoping that we will learn more about why that is. I mean, maybe that's, well, no, because I don't get a sense that we were specifically brought in because we somehow mirror the ability to be Subject Zero, because I would imagine we would have been grabbed a long time ago. And I don't know what Jacob would have done to show that that's the case for himself. But I guess, you know, time will tell. The game's doing a pretty good job of leaving things open-ended for us. God, I handled that very poorly. Running low on ammo. So. Alright, which direction do I want to go? Alright, so. More events to crawl through. Yay. Oh, God.
Keep moving forward, Jacob.
Close my door.
Danny's condition is worsening. You must go faster.
Just hang on. I'm coming.
Any idea what I'm dealing with here? Making some real demands. I hear things, but I don't see. Whoa! Oh, it's the Invisible God. Oh, I haven't seen you in a while. I completely forgot those guys exist. Completely forgot.
After 2 weeks in the program, Subject 324-980 exhibits remarkable physical enhancements, though his mental state is deteriorating rapidly. Flag the subject for Mahler. Maybe this will help get Cole off our backs.
I just... Oh. Oh, man. It's wild that, I think about this sometimes when I do these playthroughs of, like, if you're just playing this game just to, like, play it and experience it and not think too hard about what's going on, like, these sort of things just kind of go right over you. But when you're in a position like I am, where I'm, like, constantly trying to find the things that are worth providing a degree of, like, analysis and reaction to, you realize just how awful this is. And the scary part about it for me is it's not out of the realm of possibility that this kind of thing could happen. And the question that always comes after that is sort of like, well, how does something like this happen? And I've explained it in various ways throughout this playthrough, but I mean, here we have somebody who ostensibly is here because she has the education and acumen to assess the mental well-being of the people that are being subjected to this, and there is no empathy, or if there is, it's shut off. And there's any number of mechanisms that a person might use to shut it off, but I have to believe that what we're seeing in this is people who have been inducted into the ideology that a person like the warden has, where you genuinely have convinced yourself and believe, maybe have been propagandized, but have genuinely convinced yourself that this person that you see as an object in front of you is a means to an end that you somehow will benefit from in a way that makes the expense worth it. It's like that old adage of, many of you will die, but that's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make. And I just think about, it's like, if I'm a therapist, I am a person who has expertise in psychology and human development and assessment and all these sorts of things, where, like, I could be a person that would get called upon to go to Callisto and evaluate these people. And I don't know how you last more than an hour if you're a person who has any monicum of respect and empathy for the people that are being subjected to this. The level of objectification in this space, in the spirit of an ideal, is terrifying. And that's the power of the human brain's ability to reconceptualize things and create symbols and abstractly move from innate empathy to objectification. Such that this person, who I would imagine got into the field because she cares about the human brain and mental health and wants people to do well, is now all of a sudden is party to this. Now, I don't know the extent to which she is under duress and being forced to do this, but I do have to say that, like, the way she's speaking into that doesn't sound like she's necessarily struggling with the idea of what she's doing. She sounds more like a person that's resolved in, I'm fine with this. I believe in this. And I would imagine the way that the environment's been constructed, that's the kind of person they're looking for. They're looking for somebody who either doesn't have that empathy in their brain at all, or has the ability to shut it out in the interest of that wider narrative and ideology. But holy shit, man. I mean, it's just so distressing to think about. It's why people care so much about bedside manner with their doctors. It's why when I, as a therapist, am working with anybody, I am constantly aware of the fact that I am working with another person. Because when you see the humanity in people, you tend to go in a direction that's a lot more empathic, a lot more connective, intimate. It does mean, though, that you have to get more in touch with people's pain. You know, if you're in this situation and you engage empathy, it would be crippling. And so for some, it's like just if I'm stuck here on Callisto and I got to deal with this, I'm going to shut it off, because if I don't shut it off, I'm going to go crazy. And that speaks to the system you're embedded in. And there should be some changes that happen if you have to do that calculus on the day-to-day. It's just, oh man, it's just so stressful to hear this stuff. But it really is what contributes to a level of richness of this game. You know, you start seeing these guys as tortured humans. I mean, again, these guys are kind of like, they're husks. They're not really the human in the way that we conceptualize humans. But like, this was once a person that I could have like sat and had coffee with and got to know, who had a history and a life that led to the point where they got to whatever age they were when they got taken over. And now they've essentially been reduced to this, maybe in part because they were intentionally subjected to it in the spirit of whatever it is that we're trying to gain here. I'm not trying to belabor this so much as just really kind of lay the foundation for, like, what we're dealing with here is really awful. And I have to believe that the people who created this game know that. And I appreciate that.
You're nearly here. Just keep moving.
Find your lack of patience. Nothing in here? No, might as well use this then. Is she trying to be encouraging, or is she just extremely impatient? I don't know. I guess we're gonna find out when we meet her.
The choice is yours.
That's 1600.
Cycle complete.
Alrighty. Will there be a face hugger in here? Yeah. Eventually, I'm just not going to want to open chests anymore. Alright. I just, you know, I just feel it. Something tells me when we meet up with Maher, it's gonna be a, we're gonna have some interesting conversations. God damn it. God damn it. What are you running away for? We might have been in here once before. This area looks familiar. I do remember like these fans are intense. Oh, really? Assault rifle is where it's at. Duly noted. Ugh, man. That being in the hallways with those fans on a daily basis, that would drive me nuts. do you think? If they throw a third one in a row, it'd be so funny. Yep, and they really want you to be afraid to open these chests now. Really want you thinking twice about it. I see you conditioning. I see you operant conditioning. I get it. You won't fool me. This chest doesn't predict the next chest. Subject 0. Ooh, are we like a pawn? Subject 0, perhaps?
Defensive systems powering down.
Okay.
Get inside, now!
That's what she said.
Subject 324-980. Can you hear me?
Me? Can you hear me? I can hear it in my head. Make it stop! Make it stop!
Convict 2301 for civil unrest, criminal conspiracy, and fomenting insurrection. Update 2319. Inmate 492-873 has proven mentally and physically resilient, survived multiple altercations with the syndicate. Flagged for transfer for observation wing. You know, I mean, one of the few things that many people experience a degree of like control with is their mind. And when you, I mean, this is like a exponentially more concrete version of like how things like depression and anxiety sit in people's minds. Like you all of a sudden, or if you like at the worst, like deep psychosis, like paranoia and maybe all other voices and stuff like that, like in the case of schizophrenia, where like you have something that you literally keep hearing or having represented in your head that won't go away. Almost it's like your body is being hijacked, which is how folks with various like disabilities, mental illness and stuff will talk about like what it feels like to exist in that regard. It's like I get hijacked by depression, or I get hijacked by anxiety or trauma or whatever. And it has this effect on me where my behaviors all of a sudden don't quite feel as in control for me as they may otherwise if I'm not experiencing that surge and whatever it is. Like this is a concrete example of that, where you're quite literally having something hijack your brain. And what a terrible feeling. You want it to stop. And if you don't feel a sense of control in making it stop, that can really exacerbate the level of distress you experience. Again, it's terrible for these people. And it's also why, like, when we talk about certain... I'm not talking about, like, the normal broad spectrum of human emotion. I'm talking about, like, legitimate psychological disorders and mental illness. It can feel like your entire body is being hijacked. And finding the locus of control within that sometimes is quite the puzzle. It's a lot cleaner, probably because those turrets were outside, so maybe we don't have to worry about being attacked because there's no other way to get in here. I would have to believe that if they knew what they were experimenting on, they probably built this in such a way that the people who work in here and are in charge are safe from things popping out of the vents. Oh, baby.
The lab. At the heart of the prison.
Wow. This is cool. it's not cool, but it's cool. Luke? How you doing, buddy?
What were they doing here?
Experiments, my guy. Drinking lots of energy drinks. I mean, they're trying to replicate Subject Zero. That's been explained to us. Oh. Hey, sit on this cold concrete. The concrete bench.
Looks like they were trying to see how long it takes to turn into those things.
Dude.
Experimenting on the prisoners. It figures.
Dude, this is legitimately hard to
How long
watch.
are they doing this? Was the UJC behind this too?
I mean, it's like, I forget where they... It's like the monsters aren't the scary thing, the humans are scarier. All this in the name of some abstract idea that we could achieve some kind of like transcendence in either immortality or longevity. Let's just have hundreds of people expire on our account. And you can only hope that there's no consciousness in there.
Hey, what are you doing? I said, what are you doing?
It's only an inhibitor to slow the rate of infection.
You said you could cure her.
I can, with your help. You have to trust me. We're wasting time, and she doesn't have much.
All right, fine, do whatever you need to do.
Soon everything will become clear.
Why don't you start by telling me about this?
You saw the recordings, you know what happened on Europa?
I have no idea what happened on Europa. I wasn't there when the attack happened.
No, but she was. Are you sure you really want to?
Yes!
Do you wish?
What did you do to me?
Gave you what you wanted. The curse of knowledge. Your core is linked with hers now. Or at least it will be once the sync is complete. The data won't transfer immediately, but her memories will fill in the gaps, give you the answers you seek.
Okay, just tell me how we can cure her.
You can use this to synthesize an antidote, but you'll need to extract a sample from the warden's elf.
Is what?
The goal of this madness is ridiculous protocol. During the original outbreak, a colonist known as Subject Zero demonstrated a unique ability to synthesize the biophage, to control it.
Yeah, I heard in the recording something about bigger, stronger.
The next phase of human evolution. Unfortunately, he was killed during the Arca's sterilization. And now, the warden seeks to replicate the conditions of the original outbreak, hoping to recreate Subject Zero as Subject Alpha.
By releasing the virus into the prison?
As he would say, evolution doesn't happen in a lab, it happens in the wild.
God, how can he do this? There's no way he can cover this up.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Not only is he an ideological fanatic, he's an idiot. An ideological idiot fanatic in power. This is what happens. That is the most... Oh my god, I don't even know where to start with this. Like, that dude is so frustrating on so many levels that, like, hearing all of that just gave you the most visceral reaction to a point where it's hard to hear what else she was going to say. That's why I paused it. I talked about a concept in the God of War Ragnarok playthrough that I'm going to talk about here, hopefully as a way to provide a bit of context for how the Warden would get to this point. We talked about the difference between inductive and deductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning is the way that you make sense of the world when you are early on in your development. As a child, a teenager, and a bit into adulthood. And it's something that you can continue to do if you aren't mindful of using your brain in a more sophisticated way. Which is essentially where you take your own experience and your limited knowledge of the world around you, and you use that to understand the world at large. Deductive reasoning, on the other hand, is when you use knowledge, representation, various experiences, not just your own, but of others, and you deduce what may be going on when a certain thing is available to you without necessarily pulling directly and solely from your individual experience. To give you a very brief example of this from my own life, when I was a child, there was a power plant that was nearby my hometown, and that power plant had a smokestack. And that smokestack used to release this very vibrant white like smoke or vapor. And when I was like 5 years old, I thought that that was a cloud maker. Which, you know, sort of makes sense to some extent, because I had some understanding of like what clouds are and what they look like, and my experience to that point was that like anything that's white and puffy and in the sky is a cloud, and there are things that make things, so this must be a cloud maker. I mean, and over time what happens is, like, if I just continuously walked through my life using my own limited knowledge and experience to make sense of the world, it would be a very limiting experience. It's cute when you're a kid. When you're an adult, it's not. But what happens is, like, if you don't take the time to actually educate yourself on how things work, learn about what a power plant is and what clouds are and how clouds are actually formed, and all the variables that go into the massive amount of sophistication between the idea of like a power plant that exists and how the sky works, and clouds and blah blah, and the earth and weather and da 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 da, right? Like all the things that we can list off that contribute to the complexity of something that just is very easily visually represented. If you if you don't appreciate those things, you start making really dumb decisions, especially when you're in a position of power. And that's what's happening with the warden. So the warden goes, yeah, there was an outbreak, and there was one person who somehow showed a degree of resilience to that outbreak and experienced a body of symptoms that looks like the transcendence of humanity, which he probably borrowed from God knows where. And so you get into this position where you get this bug in your ear that that's like the ultimate thing, and how amazing would it be for you to be able to like facilitate that and move humanity to the next level in the complete absence of an understanding of the way that evolution works. Evolution happens over hundreds of thousands of millions of years in small increments. It does not happen spontaneously. It's the reason that more humans report that they're afraid of death, heights, public speaking, and snakes than guns. Because our brain has not evolved to keep up with understanding what technology has brought in front of us. Why we get into a car and don't really think about how terrifying that is. But if I put you on the side of a cliff of the Grand Canyon, you're probably a bit more nervous. So this dude goes, yeah, why don't we just replicate that? Because the environment is the better place to do that than the lab. It is outrageous that he would think that. It makes sense logically from a child perspective. A child thinking that would make complete sense. A grown-ass adult man with responsibility and power making broad, sweeping decisions about other humans that are under his view, for that? Holy shit, man. That's why I say he's an idiot. Because the worst part about it is that level of logic, it's the most basic level of logic, and it makes sense. But it's stupid when you take into account all of the factors that are actually at play with this thing. You could infect 35,000 prisons and never have another subject zero, because it could have been one very specific genetic anomaly that facilitated that happening for that person. And so what happens here is you have ideology and perhaps spiritual or religious doctrine or cult doctrine that starts to play a role in this. Where if he believes in something like fate, or that he is supposed to achieve human transcendence on behalf of some sort of higher power that he symbolically decide exists when other people may not actually believe it exists, that creates even more of a problem, because now you have some sort of abstract justification for the things that you're doing in the absence of any kind of logical flow. It's just infuriating. But the way that you can generally pick out whether a person defaults more to deductive versus inductive reasoning is if you bring up something that is just like a general concept, and the only way that that person ever really seems to make sense of that concept is by constantly filtering it through their own experience. Where perhaps a person goes like, yeah, well, white people aren't racist because I'm not racist. Or you like talk about racism and like, well, I'm not racist, so this can't be real. That's inductive reasoning. Instead of like engaging with wider concepts and systems that maybe you don't understand. None of us has all the answers for every single thing. That's why we all have to put our heads together collectively. But you should be terrified of people that only ever experience the world and manage their way through it inductively. Because you're essentially working with children. Anyway, that was a very long diatribe here, but dude, that I hear that kind of thing, and I'm just like, you have got to be the fact that that dude believes that that's a smart strategy and is willing to just sacrifice hundreds of people on its behalf, and that people are willing to follow him into that, yikes, dude.
He's not acting alone. He's part of a group. Dating back centuries, they seek to control the progress of human... She's waking. Be careful, Jacob. Once synthesized, the antidote will contain the only pure essence from his alpha. He'll want it more than anything. It's the key to all he seeks.
What about you?
Yeah, what about you?
I played my part in all of this as well. There's no escape for me. Black Iron is where I belong.
Do you feel bad for her? Anybody watching this feel sad for her? Feel bad? I sure don't. If you're a person that believes in any way, shape, or form that people are in control and have accountability for their actions, I would hope you don't feel bad for her. There is when we get into the nitty-gritty on how people find a way to justify horrific actions that they perpetuate, one of the easiest pathways to facilitate that is to see oneself as a victim. You know, when she made that comment about, oh, you know, you now have the curse of knowledge. Oh, how horrible and torturous it is for me to know what's going on right now. Oh, this is a place that I have to be in because I'm so far in and so terrible. Poor me. That victim complex inadvertently serves as a perpetuating factor on the terrible decision. I am a victim of this circumstance. This is horrible. How awful it is that I have to watch these people suffer at my hands. Victimhood is a way to shuck accountability. Is not a good thing. If you're a person that does that, you should become more aware of that and start taking accountability for your actions. If you're a person who's around that, start setting boundaries. Because that can create a pretty nasty vortex.
It's you.
Yeah, come on.
What happened? Where am I?
It doesn't matter. We got what we need. Now let's go finish this. Come on.
We got what we need.
How are you feeling?
Like something's inside my head, trying to take over.
Hey, just hold on. We'll be there soon.
You look like shit. I mean, no offense in saying that. Exposure plays another role in this, unfortunately. Like, when we look at this, we walk in here, we look at this, and we go, holy shit, this looks horrific. If that woman's been walking past this thing every day for however long she's been walking past it, you get used to it. It becomes part of the background. What is that clicking? Like, this is crazy, man. Holy crap. Yeah, so he's part of some group that believes in human transcendence at any cost. We can accelerate it. We just have to find the reason how. If we do that, we've accomplished whatever our existential goal is for our purpose in some greater, higher power or being that matters more than what anybody else believes. Yeah, that's where they're at. Buddy's gonna keep doing this shit. And he's going to be very unapologetic about it. And he's not going to see it as being a problem in any way, shape, or form because his defense is going to be, you just don't understand.
Did you see that?
See what?
Uh-oh. Nothing.
Uh-oh. I'm hearing things and seeing things. This is not good. This place is... Is it just me? Is it just me? Or is, Are Our partner did have a Zippo at the beginning. We're hearing stuff. Yep. Yep. So, oh man. What I was gonna say is this sterile environment is almost more unsettling to me than the like awful environments that we've been walking through up until this point. Danny's memories are in her head. My memories are in my head. Who knows what kind of brain explosions are happening right now. And now we're in a position where we are potentially going to be questioning our own eyes and ears.
Ahead. Should get us up to the tower.
Oh, this is bad. This is so bad. This is so bad. Oh, man. I'm all in now, man. Talking about brain being on fire. My brain's on fire now.
So, what happened back there? Last thing I remember is those robots jumping us.
Mahler's helping us get the cure.
And you trust her?
Don't got a choice.
Well, you do.
Yeah. Same here.
You got a choice, but you don't have a lot of information to run contrary. So, I mean... Why do... You know... I do think it'd be nice if Jacob would ask her, what do you think? Do you want to trust this and follow this? I mean, she's the one that's in worse shape than I am. Dude. Increasingly more sterile. Wow. What an environment change. Holy crap.
What is all this?
This is definitely not the UJC.
Then who is it?
This is the Four Seasons. Look at this. Wow.
Tonight, while the prison sleeps, I will take matters into my own hands. I will release Mahler's experiments into the wild. No more talk. The time has come for action, and I know that I am right. Computer, initiate the Callisto protocol.
I know that I am right. Telling you, man, you got no shot. You got no shot against that. None. What the hell happened here? Computer, initiate the Callisto protocol. Okay. So the Callisto protocol was release. Dude, okay. Just as in case you're like in a position right now where you're watching this and you're having like a hard time having any kind of analog to real life, I'm gonna just make one just so that we're all kind of on the same page of how absolutely ridiculous this is. This would be like if in 2020, when COVID-19 swept the globe, if there was a person in Omaha, Nebraska, who somehow had an immunity to COVID, that when COVID hit them, they gained muscle density and are now going to live until 140. And that person becomes the subject of various testing. And people are like, wow, that's really interesting. Like this COVID showed up and this person had this reaction to it through some sort of anomaly that made them be more powerful and awesome as it relates to the human experience. Like, holy cow. And then everybody does their quarantine. Lots of people die. We go through everything we went through. And then there's an island nation, say the UK. The Prime Minister of the UK, or somebody who is in like a giant prison in the UK, says, you know what? I think that thing that happened to that person in Omaha, Nebraska would be amazing if we could all experience it. That would transcend the human experience. We would evolve to the next stage of what it is to be human. So I'm going to release COVID back into the UK, and everybody's going to get sick, and we're going to run all sorts of experiments on it, and we're going to hope that we can find somebody who has the same genetic anomaly as the person in Omaha, Nebraska, so that we can find a way to synthesize that and help a certain sect of people have a more transcendent life. One where they live longer and have bigger muscle mass and food tastes better and you can see ultraviolet light. I'm willing to risk the entire UK if it means getting that. That's essentially what's happening here. Like, that's the vibe. That's what the warden is doing and believes. Screw all these people. I am releasing the biophage back into a group of people without any kind of controls in place other than the fact that they're in a prison. And, maybe I can live longer because of it. Oh my God. It's just like, holy shit, man. Maybe that's why I'm particularly sensitive to this. Because it's like you see the profound impact that something like this could have, and you're like, okay, shit, we did what we needed to do to contain it. We got it away. Yeah, we're gonna dehumanize the entire island of Great Britain, so nobody cares. So everybody looks at it and says, yeah, the stupid British deserve it, and thank God we're doing that to them because they're less than human. And think of how cool it'll be to live to 160. We'll put a plaque up somewhere in their honor when we're done. For their sacrifice. Thanks, Britain. I don't even think this guy would do that. I think he wants all the credit. Yeah, and don't tell them that it's happening. Exactly. Oh my God. It's just everything about this.
Data transfer complete.
What the hell? Danny?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That looks like a Europa
Danny,
memory.
where are you?
Yep. Okay. And we're at the opening cutscene. Yep. Noodle kitchen. Okay, so I would imagine that some people are going to have a similar thought to what I had here about just sort of the realistic, like how realistic is Jacob's reaction to this? And I want to maybe give a little bit of context on this. Pandemonium, thank you for the sub. So there are really two options here in terms of how Jacob is going to navigate this space. The first one is whether he has an awareness that he is hallucinating, in which case he would likely show some distress here and be like, what's going on? Why am I seeing this? I was just in this other place and now I'm here. Am I losing my mind? Or this feels so real to him that he takes it in stride. And I think it's important for me to explain this because there are some cases where when people are experiencing like severe hallucination and psychosis, where we have a tendency, if we're not the ones experiencing that, to go like, aren't you aware that you're hallucinating? Like, you should know that that's a hallucination. Not necessarily. Sometimes it can be so vivid and so real that that person legitimately is convinced that what they're experiencing is what's happening. Based on the way that Jacob is reacting at the outset of this, I think it's the latter. I think that there's a chance that he is so inducted into how real this feels for him that he's not questioning his eyes and ears right now. And so he's going to engage with this, whether we would call it a hallucination or whether he's back in one of Danny's memories or whatever it is. He is likely thinking this is actually where he's at. That like when he opened that door, there was a wall there, and when he turned around, it was this. Like he's taking it in stride. So it's not necessarily a writing issue, because like where he's not questioning this, he legitimately could be fully inducted into this without realizing it. And it's kind of scary, right? Because like if you're, and I think about this in terms of like, it's like the Alzheimer's experience. Like when a person's got severe dementia or Alzheimer's, their reality is entirely different. If they're talking to you and they call you a friend's name, and it's like they call you like a friend from 1950 that died 30 years ago, and you're like, no, I'm your daughter. Like, what the hell? Like, you must be, you know, you're hallucinating this, right? Like, you know, I'm your daughter, right? Like, no, that person may actually legitimately believe that they are engaging with that friend from 1950. And that is a really hard thing for people who are bearing witness to that type of thing to experience. And us as the viewers of this moment, and me as the player of this game, we sort of have that dissonance here. We know that Jacob right now is likely immersed in a hallucination or in a memory, but he's not experiencing it that way. It's a pretty wild experience, man. The human brain is something else. So we'll see if he has any kind of dissonance on this, but look how vivid this is with the amount of detail here. And this is where she was at the very beginning of the game when we saw that opening cutscene.
And now you're inside Danny's memories, seeing the truth of Europa. A diluted test sample released from one of our labs. A tragedy that inspired everything Cole is doing here at Black Iron.
How does she know that? How does she know that I am currently in one of Danny's memories? That is what my reaction to this is. I mean, it's a little bit jarring to hear her talking to my comms, but like if I'm not actually walking through this space and this is a memory, I almost wonder if I'm hooked up to something. Maybe she got a pop-up that the transfer is complete? Maybe. But Jacob didn't say anything to her. I just find... Something's weird. And to be clear, I'm going to give the game the benefit of the doubt on this, but it's very odd to me that she is aware of that and knows what I'm seeing. Because Jacob didn't say, oh, I'm on the streets of Europa seeing a bunch of effects of a biophage. God, the detail. Oh. Just such an incredible experience. Fuck oppression. I can get on board with that. Hearing stuff. There's that music box, which I saw in my cell.
Let me go! Look at it! Look at it! What are you talking about? See? You see? Do you see?
Jacob, what do you got there?
What we got here is none of our business.
Oh boy.
Now, come on. We got a job to do.
This was our fault.
Lily! No, 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 no. No! Sorry. I tried to protect you. You didn't deserve that.
Europa wasn't a terrorist attack. They doctored the footage to cover up what they were planning to test at Black Iron. And the cargo that we transported played a part in both. I could have stopped this. But I didn't.
You made the wrong choice. Now how are you gonna make it right?
Jake, what's wrong with you?
Hey, come on. Come on.
I can't.
Yes, you can. We're almost there.
No, I can feel it. Hear it in my head.
Okay. You stay here. I'm gonna come back when I get the cure.
I can take care of myself.
Okay.
Make him pay for what he's done.
Okay, well, already kind of deduced that we were running the larva. Now, I would be curious to know if Jacob just had selective memory around that, whether he legitimately had, like, lost that memory, whether he repressed it, or whether he's been kind of aware of that the whole time and just let it fly under the radar. Like, I don't know. We don't have much context for that yet, but there is a tendency for people in situations like this, if they're not careful, to take too much accountability. I'm all for taking accountability. Like, my guy Jacob here is absolutely responsible for the fact that he decided to fly this cargo, maybe knowing or maybe not knowing what it is, knowing that there's probably something pretty serious about it, given that it's all hush-hush, need to know, bloody-bloody. There is a level of accountability for that. If they were on your ship and you were flying it and you didn't check the logs, you didn't ensure that that cargo was up to snuff or whatever, yep, totally on you. But you don't get to take the entire scope of accountability on this and say, like, I could have prevented this. That probably isn't true. If you had said, I'm not going to run this unless you tell me what it is, and somebody shot you in the face, they would have found another ship to run it. Like, there's no doubt in my mind about that. Like, this is way bigger than you. So you don't want to over-assume a level of control and preventability for something that you played a role in. You take accountability for it. You certainly might look at it and say, I would have done some things differently, and going forward I'm going to do some things differently. But there's a lot of nuance to this situation. And the reason that I'm making this point is because you got to be very careful not to take on too much responsibility for something as a means of trying to control a narrative that you didn't necessarily have the ability to control, or control a circumstance that you didn't have the ability to control. At the end of the day, the warden pushed the button on the Callisto protocol. At the end of the day, there are other people who loaded that shit in and didn't ask questions. There are a lot of people who yes-manned their way through this that are accountable for yes manning it, but also the person who is giving the orders in the position of power, whether that person actually has power or perceived power. He's ultimately culpable, maybe beyond anybody else. Systems are complicated. When we try to talk about these things in a black and white way as a way to make it easier and more palatable for us, it doesn't work. You got to be willing to lean into the nuance and gray of this in order to really tease out what's actually going on here. And so Jacob feeling a sense of guilt around this, or engaging in a guilt narrative around it, is something that is, I think, legitimate insofar as he takes accountability for his role in this, but is not useful if he starts engaging in a bunch of compensatory measures that are beyond his scope of accountability and beyond his scope of control and ability, because he believes that he could have prevented the second release of the biophage, that he could have somehow prevented the Callisto protocol being put into motion. That's where he has to be careful. Because when people start doing that, they start going out in left field in a way that's not good for them. Hopefully we get more context around it. This is great, the way that all this is unraveling. It really is. I am a big fan. And I am probably going to frustrate a lot of people and tell you that we're going to walk through that door in part 8. Thank you, friends, for taking the time to watch this playthrough. We got a lot of great stuff coming at us. And I have an early day tomorrow. And I don't want to open that door and have a whole bunch of shit in here that I got to talk about for a half hour. So, in respect for my own time, and in the facilitation, I guess, of a cliffhanger that hopefully entices you to jump over into part 8, I am going to end it here. Please leave a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. I'm excited that we're back to a point now where we're talking through stuff, and there's a lot of things to engage with that makes my brain very happy. I liked the walking simulator aspect of it for the episodes like 2, 3, and 4, but now that we're getting into the meat and potatoes of this, I am all in. So I'm enjoying this. I hope you are too. Again, subscribe to the channel and leave a thumbs up if you're enjoying it as well. It makes a big difference for the channel. I know it seems like a small thing, but it really does. If you're binging, I will see you in part 8. If you're waiting for the next one to come out, we will get it out as soon as we can. I appreciate you giving my playthrough on this a shot. You matter, and I will see you in the next one.